Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cleveland Sports Bros podcast. I'm Matt alongside my brother Nick. Nick, how's it going today?
Awesome. Looking forward to talking about favorite Cleveland teams.
Yep, so today we're gonna talk about all three of the big teams, the Browns, Cavs, and Guardians. Unfortunately, as our fans are well aware of, the Browns off to a very ugly start to the season, now sitting at 2-5. Nick, do you want to give us an update on them?
Yeah, a lot of fans are very disappointed, and uh, that's very understandable because of they were highly expected that the defense would be leading the team, and you need good defense to win games, and it's been the opposite, which is good. The Browns and Jacoby Brissett are putting up points, but they're running the offense in a style you wouldn't expect. Uh, I use the word running, and they're usually, for the most part, not giving the halfbacks Chubb and Hunt enough carries.
Yeah, that I totally agree. So just in this last game, Nick Chubb had 16 carries, 8 in the first half, 8 in the second half. And I heard a stat, I don't remember from who exactly, that I think he went 33 real minutes in between touches at one point, which is just inexcusable. And just we say it nearly every week, if not every single week, that you see Nick Chubb go off to the sideline on third down, shaking his head, or they show him on the sideline just staring seemingly angrily. And who could blame him? He is the best running back in the NFL. I think he has the third most carries. He should have the number one most carries. It shouldn't even be a question. And I've kind of jokingly said, but I'm a little serious. I wish the Browns would just trade him because it's not fair that we are holding a player like him, who not only is that talented, but seems to be, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best teammates, best locker room guys the Browns have had in many years. And it's just, for them not to use him is unbelievable. And then talking about Kareem Hunt as well, yeah, it just seems like they're not using him nearly to his ability either. They're certainly not using them on the field at the same time nearly enough. When they do, it doesn't seem coordinated. It's just kind of like, oh, well, they're both on the field and we're going to run some play that doesn't utilize both of them. And, it was reported that Kareem wanted a trade earlier in the season, arguably because the Browns weren't going to use him enough, or he felt that they were not using him enough in past seasons. And it's hard to argue with Kareem at this point. And you wonder if he'll be, they'll look to move him at the trade deadline or anything like that.
Yeah, you've got to wonder about the situation that they're in, not only with the record, but how they're using uh, two of their top quality players. Um, we have seen uh, Brissett and Cooper make some good plays over the past few games. Uh, there are many fans that believe Cooper was robbed of a touchdown due to OPI, and that was, of course, the Ravens game. And there was another questionable flag where Michael Dunn, the center, you know, was called for false start when Browns were looking to tie the game with a field goal. And it seemed that the Ravens defense pushed into the Browns O line. So not just the running in the particular past game in particular, but a lot of fans disgusted with the flags.
Well, yeah, there are some bad flags, and Amari didn't even really dispute the call. You could argue that it was tic tac, but he didn't dispute it, which I think a lot of players would have. And then on the false start on the kick attempt, the field goal attempt, I could be wrong, but I saw a lot of Harbaugh yelling at the refs during that, and I didn't see a lot of Stefanski, arguing his case. And you wonder if just the respect over the years that Harbaugh has earned. He's a well-known special teams guy. You wonder if, he just kind of got the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of that could be because he was going crazy and the refs, they're human beings. They might have thought that, oh, well, there's no way that he's wrong. And there's no way that he's wrong. Like the Browns must have moved when they didn't. So I know another big complaint a lot of Browns fans have is Stefanski not always showing emotion. And there's a time where that's a good thing, but you would think that him getting the face of the refs can put pressure on these refs. Again, they're human beings, to get some calls in their favor. And you would have liked to see that in this past game. Nick, I got a question. If I were to tell you before the game that the Browns would hold Lamar Jackson to 9 completions, the Ravens would rush for a total of 160 yards, that Mark Andrews would have 0 receptions and 0 passing yards, or yes, receiving yards, and Lamar would throw for 0 touchdowns. Would you have taken that before the game?
Absolutely. And you would have thought that the Browns would have come away with a win.
Yep. And as we know, they did not. So clearly, I think something needs to change. I think the special teams continues to be a joke. The defense was better, but Baltimore is not nearly as good as offense as they have been in recent years. And so, they still ran pretty well at times, and we kind of got bailed out by a fumble that would have been, probably ended the game had they not fumbled the ball there. So they were moving the ball again, not great, but at times enough to win the game, and the Browns just couldn't do it. So, they need some changes. The season's probably over as far as the playoffs go, barring a miracle pretty much, but just really disappointing football.
Yeah. So how about we talk about some more exciting sports with the Cleveland Cavaliers? It's very early in the season, only 3 games played, but they've won 2 straight, and with the help of their new star that they acquired from the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, definitely good change of topic. I've been watching the games, and Mitchell has proven to be the star. Again, you said only a few games, but he is showing Cavs fans that he is everything the Cavs have hoped for. He can be the guy to go to when they need a bucket, and doing all this largely without Darius Garland. He went out early in game 1 after getting poked hard in the eye, and we're hoping. That it was reported that Garland is hoping to come back in Boston this Friday. So hopefully he can see, we can see more of Mitchell and Garland together. And I really think the Cavs are playing well and fighting hard and shooting really well too, which is nice. But one thing I would like to add is that I don't think we've seen nearly enough Evan Mobley. And I imagine that the Cavs will want to get him more involved on the offense, and I think they will, because I think he arguably, maybe not this year, but can and should be the leader of the team moving forward. So it'll be nice to see him as well as Darius get back and play together, because I think the ceiling is really high for the Cavs.
Definitely. And for the past 3 games, or even opening 3 games, Donovan Mitchell set a franchise record as the first Cleveland Cavalier in history to score 30+ points for the first 3 games of the new season. When you combine all of his stats, games 1 through 3, he's put up 100 points, 16 boards, and 21 assists.
Yeah, he's again shown that he can just be an amazing scorer, and basically score at will. So that'll probably not carry for 82 games, but to know that the Cavs have that in their arsenal, will be great. And he can take over games if he needs to, and pick up his teammates if they're having an off night for sure. So, Nick, any other updates on the Cavs?
Yeah, you just pointed out that, you know, we may not see amazing numbers like that every night from Mitchell, and that's okay because, you know, usually we hope to have Garland out there, him and Mitchell together, or if one of the two needs rest on the bench, uh, they're very similar players. They're both point guards. They're both leaders, and Garland, as we know, is just in his second year, and he was already an all-star. And we know Mitchell has been to the playoffs, and the Cavs last year were in a playing game, and they're very close to. I think they're going to make a lot of noise this year as they did last year. They were surprising and exciting team to watch. I don't think it should be as much of a surprise this year as long as they can stay healthy.
Yep, that for sure. They have to stay healthy, but I agree. They should strive to, at a minimum, make the playoffs without the play-in game. And I think that we've talked about this. They should have their sights set on being a top 3 or 4 seed in the tournament as well in the East, and at least win a playoff series too. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Right. So we'd like to mention the Cleveland Guardians. You know, we know the season ended for them in the ALDS. They pushed the Yankees 5 games, and like the Cavaliers were unexpected to make noise, but they did. They came very close to making the pennant round. And as their offseason has begun, we'd like to mention just real quickly any changes we would consider that the Guardians should make. We know that their catchers Maley and Hedges are both free agents. They likely will need to turn to Bo Naylor, Josh's brother, as the uh, everyday catcher, and Gabriel Arias, who was seen playing a lot at first base, I think should become the everyday first baseman, while Josh, uh, rests his leg. We know he's had some trouble with that, and he could probably be used as an everyday DH since that is used on both sides of the AL net and NL now.
Yeah, and something I think I would like to see. It'd be nice to have another pitcher in rotation and at least one more bat. And you mentioned Bo Naylor. He could be potentially that bat at catcher. I'd love to see a catcher who could do more than bat 163 from that position, and also ideally, hit for some power as well. So that would be something great to see. And Nick, what do you think of? We know that Shohei Ohtani is in 2023 will be his last year under contract for the Angels. What do you think? Do you think the Guardians could trade for him, or somehow? I don't know if it would be getting him to the deadline or what, but I've heard his name being floated around. It kind of seems like a long shot, but hey, he'd be another arm, and he'd also be a power hitter. I think that would be a really interesting move, and I would love to see them go after him.
I I definitely have not heard of that, but everyone certainly knows the name and his skills. You know, if the Guardians were able to make that happen, the sky's the limit. We already know how far they came this year, and we also know that Tito wants to come back. He stated, I want to watch this team grow, and it's going to be an exciting, bright future for the Guardians. Who knows what moves they will make, and looking forward to their future. But also starting this Friday, we got the World Series, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Houston Astros. So looking forward to that as well.
Yep, we'll be sure to update everyone on that, and as well as any offseason moves for the Guardians or any moves for the big three teams in Cleveland. So this has been another great episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been the Cleveland Sports Bros podcast.